to round 9 of the 2025 AOMX FXR Championship in MX Bikes. Did a frisky modem reset in the middle of this to see if we got it to work. And hopefully it did. And as I mentioned right before we went off the air right there, I'm now joined by my guy Talon, who's with us in the booth every single week. Talon, welcome home, first of all. Welcome back from work. How you doing?
Doing good. A long day of work, unloading a truck, but yeah, we're here, ready to cause some action of Moto number 2, and it ain't an AOMX race without a little bit of controversy, stuff happening.
I know. I feel like I can't figure it out because now that I have my internet allegedly working again, you're fuzzy. I don't know what's going on with Discord, but now Discord won't work. So I feel like I'm losing all the time at this point.
It's a struggle. Bikes is weird. Computers are weird. It happens.
Bikes just doesn't like to work with streaming. I feel like I always run into problems with bikes.
I've always had trouble with doing whatever it is, like screen capture on bikes. It always just puts it to black for me, so I can't ever get reshade to work.
Yeah, I've had that problem too. I usually have that problem when I stream to TikTok. It never shows the reshade either. Anyway, we are back though, as I said, and hopefully some of you guys have decided to join us over on Twitch. It looks, fingers crossed, like the connection is better. So as long as everyone can just bear with us as I'm joined in the booth by a robot, and I think that'll be okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so Moto 2 coming up here in just a moment. Quick thoughts on Moto 1, though, Talon. What do you think about that ride from Chase?
I mean, it was great. We've seen it a lot this season where he kind of has those late race pushes for a win, and he pulled it out for another week this time. Let's see if he could back up his overall victory last week and try to make it 2 in a row.
All right, yeah, Chase, like we said, winner last time out at Deschambault. Going to try to do the deed again here tonight. No, sorry, it's my problem of why he sounds like that, because for whatever reason, if you have Streamlabs and bikes and Discord and Google Chrome open at the same time, because I need to monitor the stream chat, all of those things together equal no one wants to work together with the soundboard. So yeah, I don't know. I got to do some stuff. Try to play with it this week and figure it out. But either way, we're going to call the action here from Moto 2 and hopefully have a much cleaner stream for you guys to watch. So we got Cam down the inside, Brad, TJ, Ethan, Daryl, Brock W, Neon, KFC, Reed, Steiner, Vixnev, Dizzle, Prizzy, Nate, Stargame, Gooey, Ocean Sea, Fuller, Krusty, Teabag, and Coltrane way out here. Where is Cole lined up? Is he in the middle of this group somewhere, or did I miss him? Or not Cole, Chase. Cole.
Chase. I'm not seeing him.
That's interesting to say the least, because that 15-second board is going up, and I don't see Chase on this gate. So our Moto 1 winner is not here somehow, some way, as we dropped the gate in Moto 2. But here we go again from RedBud. Into turn number 1 we go, and it's Brock W again who gets there first, but he pushes wide and goes down. TJ and Brad were side by side. I think we're going to give it to TJ by a nose, but Ethan down the inside takes the lead. Cam a much better start in P2 this time around, Talon.
Yeah, Cam able to get a really good start this time is going to help him for that overall, and not have to work through the pack like he did last Moto. And TJ, another great start, is going to help him out in the overall, especially with Chase not being here, that it looks like. So, and he shoots into the lead after a mistake by Ethan, and Cam is down early after hitting that banner coming up to his first triple.
Yeah, Ethan and Cam did the exact same thing. They both pushed wide in that right-handed U-turn, and Cam tried to get back on the track a little early as Brad goes OTB coming down the hill. Big old crash for him. But yeah, TJ able to take the lead because of those 2 mistakes. Ethan gets going in the 2 spot. Cam, though, that is a disaster for him after a good start. He's now behind Steiner as Nate goes flipping off the track. Brad is back here as well. Man, I cannot believe Chase didn't start this moto. Where is he?
Yeah, I have no clue what happened to him. He's not even in the server, it looks like. So I don't know if he got booted from something or just had to get off early because of something that happened in real life. So don't know what's happening. He wasn't super far up in the championship. He's still in that top 5, but yeah, that's definitely not what he probably wanted to happen, is not showing up for the second moto after getting that good result in that first one.
Yeah, it looks like more drama too. Prizzy just joined our Twitch chat and said that he got punted in his game crash, so he's asking for a restart. I don't know if we're going to be getting it, but either way, there's plenty of chaos to start this moto, and Cam was one of the unfortunate casualties early on in this race. Fortunately for him, only falls back to about the 5 spot, but it is TJ who leads across the line at the end of lap number 1. No Dariel up here either. In fact, is Dariel not in this moto either?
He's down in P12.
Oh, yes, there he is. I skipped right over him. Dariel in P12. So Dariel, who finished second in the first moto, in 12th, as TJ, who was third in moto number 1, leads the race here on lap number 2. And these overall results are about to be all over the place. If it stays this way, obviously still a lot of racing to go. As TJ down with the lead in the same corner he took it a lap ago. Ethan back to the front, and look at that. It all comes full circle. Cam right there behind TJ in 3rd place.
Yeah, Cam already back up after that crash. We've seen it in Moto 1. We saw how quickly he could charge through this pack, and now he's got Reed right behind him after that mistake. He's going to go to the outside here and actually miss the turn, and he's going to get passed by KFC, but still stay ahead of Steiner.
Yeah, a good little group up here, as you said. Reed now back in front of Steiner. Brad just laid it down on the inside. Vixnev almost got by him, but Brad gets up quickly and holds the position. Now Steiner goes off the track to the outside before the big tabletop jump. How about this day for Brad so far? We saw a terrible day for him at Deschambault. It's been very hit and miss for the man who sits 3rd in this championship. But first moto, 4th place for him, Talon. This is a much better day so far.
Yeah, definitely. It's just unfortunate that Cam is having, the rides of his life these past couple of weeks, with Brad having a bit of struggles. And we've seen vice versa. Whenever Brad does good, Cam is normally bad. And whenever Cam has been doing good, Brad has been doing bad. And finally we have one where these two are both up front, and maybe we'll get to see a battle between the P1 and 2 in the championship later in this moto.
Speaking of a battle, we got one out front. Is Ethan and TJ going at it through the rollers on towards the finish line jump. Ethan relinquishes the position, and he might relinquish too as Cam scrubs the finish line jump alongside of him. Ethan shuts the door and holds on to 2nd place, but TJ, just like that, is back into the race lead. 3 bikes. You could practically throw a blanket over him out front.
Okay, these guys are fighting hard, and TJ looking to regain his momentum. He had a good ride in that second moto last week, and he's looking to remount again and do another good ride in another second moto back-to-back. But Cam not looking to let it happen. He's trying to charge forward and maybe try to chase him down after he got hung up a little bit behind Ethan trying to pass him.
Yeah, Cam able to just squeak a gap right there, coming past the mechanics area to get by Ethan into P2. And now he looks to set sail after TJ. Now, not sure how much of that first moto you were able to catch, Talon, but Cam really struggled in the midpoint of the race. He'd gotten all the way up to battling Brad for 4th and then crashed his way back to 10th. So what do you expect to happen in this situation now that he's got a much better start? Is it a completely different version of him in Moto 2?
I feel like we might be able to see him calm down now that he knows he's up front and you can still see the leaders, so he doesn't have to push it as much. We've seen that a couple times where if he gets a good start, he knows that he has a good chance of winning, that he kind of settles in and doesn't try to force the issue or push as hard as he normally does, trying to charge through the pack. So I think we'll see that out of him and try to, keep pace with TJ and maybe hope for a mistake before he tries to, force anything by going quicker on this track.
Yeah, trying to change up lines as well. Both of those guys elected to go for that middle rut before the leap. And a little case there for Cam as he's able to just stretch it out. TJ actually bounced out of that inside rut, so it was certainly close right there. So we got KFC now up into third. Meanwhile, change for position for fourth. Brad just made the slick move on Ethan to get into the 4 position. So 4-4 day for Brad. I don't think he's done yet, though. He looks like he has some ambitions to maybe stick with our leaders. And as you said, much better day overall for Brad. Good to see it out of him in the mix of things. I just can't take my eyes off of this lead battle, though. TJ and Cam, I think we're about to see a classic here between these two veterans of the series.
Oh yeah, we see it so much in the EU series for Ariel, and we're getting it once again here in the AOMX Championship. You know, Cam these past 2 years hasn't been able to race the full series, and for once this year he's able to, and you could see how well he does being able to get every single round and not miss any. He's able to take that points lead and, you know, really show that he's the guy that everyone needs to beat. And TJ, he's been here almost every round, and unfortunately he just hasn't had the pace that he had last year to keep up with Cam. But here we are, where now he's leading him, and Cam is trying to make something happen, and we finally get to see that battle that we've been waiting for these past couple years.
Man, did Cam ever have the power down going up towards that uphill triple. Rear tire planted and the front tire swapping back and forth as he wheelied through the rollers, absolutely hanging it out, trying to push up to TJ's rear fender, which he has pretty much done at this point as they're both going to swing to the outside. Look at this inside move for Cam, though. Hooked that rut, and TJ jumps back across his nose and blocks the line. What a move by TJ, a power move. He does not want his buddy to get through.
Yeah, he was not afraid to leave that inside open, knowing that he would have the slingshot, and it worked out for him. Cam makes a mistake behind him, misses both the ruts. See if he could still make the Roccos. It looks like he's going to actually case it big time. That's going to cost him a lot of time to TJ out front. And now he has to worry about KFC moving behind him and trying to make a pass into that P2 spot.
Yeah, KFC is suddenly right in the mix of things right here, which is a good ride out of him to suddenly be up here battling these guys. Cool to see what he's able to do if he can run with this pace at the front of the field. Meanwhile, Brad and Ethan still working up to keep that gap close to our leaders. I feel like this has not separated near as much as we saw in the first moto. I feel like by, about that 10-minute mark, we saw quite a bit of separation amongst the top 5 to 7 positions, but we're looking all the way back to Daryl, who's now moved into 6th. Still just 14 seconds back, and it seems like you can kind of see everybody still in the same stretch of racetrack here.
Yeah, definitely. And this is also kind of a test for Dario. You saw in that Moto 1, he's able to hang on to the leaders for such a long time, and now we get to see how he works through the pack, because actually he ends up going down here just a little bit after that whole shot, and then you see Reed and Steiner battling behind him. So there's battles all throughout the racetrack, not big battles, but there's battles between two riders just fighting the entire way around this racetrack and trying to find every inch of the track to go faster than everyone else.
Yeah, and some of these guys have had some success of late as well, so they're not going to be thrilled with their positioning. They're going to fight until the very end to make it as high up as possible. So it's still TJ from Cam KFC in the top 3, but Ethan looks like he might not be done with Brad for the 4th spot. The AEO machine has caught up to the Matrix number 104 of Brad, and now we're going to have another fight to watch on our hands as the one up front has dissolved a little bit, a new one materializing. Ethan was up there though, Talon, remember, and had a couple mistakes, slipped back to this position. What kind of mental hoops do you think he's had to jump through to get back to a comfort zone? Because it looks like he's on the charge again.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be hard to, maybe back it down just that 10th or 2 to get past him. Looks like KFC went down ahead of him, so Brad's going to move into that P3 spot, and Ethan's trying to work his way around the outside here. He can't get it done. KFC's going to fight good, but they're dualies over that tabletop there. Ethan looking down the inside to maybe try to get a better run. Brad makes a mistake. It's 3 wide through the rollers here.
Oh.
They come together. Oh, and Brad's game might have crashed from that one crash right there into that white aerial sign.
I turned around to see where he went, and he's gone. Unbelievable. Brad, who was just 5 seconds off the lead, a combo bug, gets hit by 2 bikes at once, and his game crashes. You absolutely hate to see it. Hashtag Pibs fix your game. Unbelievable to see that happen right on our screen, and unfortunately Brad looks like he is out of this race, so that actually promotes KFC up a position. And Game just lagged for me a little bit there. I don't know if that was me or you guys or the server or whatever, but yeah, things are kicking off. And meanwhile, speaking of kicking off, Cam took over the race lead unbeknownst to us. He has taken the point from TJ, and he's got a gap as well. So I'm going to guess that was a crash out of TJ?
I believe so. As far ahead as Cam is right now, is either a big crash or Cam just went 3 seconds quicker than him. And yeah, it looks like TJ ran a 58.1 compared to Cam's 52.7 last lap. So it was a crash for him. And unfortunately, that is going to cost him that race lead. And now he has to, reset and maybe think about going back after Cam or just settle for a good P2, which he probably does not want this late in the championship, trying to gain as many points as he can on Cam.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how much do you think the championship is weighing on both of their minds right now? We still have basically 7 motos still to run as Cam lays it down on the inside right there, loses a little bit of time. In that first moto, TJ gained another 8 points back and got it down to 18, but Cam looking to stretch it back out a little bit again. Do you think that's even on TJ's mind, or all he cares about is just trying to win the race?
Maybe a little bit of both. He probably does want to win that race because he knows it will help him gain points, and he probably is. Maybe he might be thinking about how many points he's gaining at the end of the day, but also it's kind of up in the air with these guys. They're willing to do math on the fly other than just trying to finish their best. And with Cam making these slight mistakes ahead of him, there's a good chance with 18 minutes to go that TJ can catch back up and make something happen here for the lead.
Yeah, and the track is getting more and more brutal every single lap. We even saw in the first moto when Chase was leading the race at one point, it got so gnarly in one section that a whole row of guys every lap went through after the tabletop and went over the bars on this one little notch of the racetrack. So that's how quickly things could change. If you're Cam out front, you got to be wary of the lines you take and not get into something too deep. With that said, though, the track wearing down quite nicely, pretty evenly across the track. I feel like the main lines have been worn in good, but I feel like the lines have switched up quite a bit in the last 20 or 30 minutes of racing. Now this inside going up the hill works. Some guys are going way outside to this outside rut. I feel like the track is kind of working for how much it has changed.
Yeah, it kind of looks like straight from the get-go in this moto, these guys are going to, the alternate lines that they found. As Cam had a mistake on that small tabletop, and now here comes TJ down the inside, lands on him, and TJ goes flying, and he takes Cam with them before Larocco's. I don't know if either of them is going to have the pace to make it up this jump.
Neither of them do. They both scrubbed the double, and now they both ran into each other. So now, is there going to be some animosity had between these two? We know that they do chat on occasion, but that was aggressive from TJ, was it not?
Yeah, he wasn't afraid to get the elbows out, but at the end of the day, it was kind of, the bike's physics bouncing and taking Cam with them. As Cam, it probably could have survived that, but just the bike, as always in this game, if someone crashes in front of you, their bike is always going to head right to where you are, and at least nothing changed, so I don't expect Cam to be too upset about it, but obviously he's going to have a little frustration if TJ tries to make another pass on him.
Yeah, so now Cam is able to lead from the front again here, but TJ able to close that gap down a little bit. Can't forget that there's still some fighting going on back here. KFC third. Daryl has made it all the way back to fourth. And how about this charge for Daryl, who almost won the first moto over Chase? Depending on how far up he could get here with TJ not winning this moto potentially, Daryl could be on for an overall with maybe some weird scores of like a 2-3 or something like that.
Yeah, it'll be definitely difficult. I think TJ got that third in that first moto, so right now he is holding on to it, and with Cam having 1 more second of cuts in him, he just got to be in that threshold, and he could get a victory here. But Dario holding on strong for a P2 as he goes over the bars down the hill here. Hate to see it for him, but he's going to hold on to the position with the big lead he had over that P5 spot of Ethan. So right now it looks like Dario's sitting P2 and overall, and it might be Cam sitting P3.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on those overall results and how much they change as we get into the second half of this race. TJ down before the flag tabletop as he was pushing and kind of bounced awkwardly into the ruts right there. So Cam now has some advantage at the front, but then he went off track, doesn't get the leap. Some of these guys really starting to struggle with getting a drive for the leap as TJ makes it over clean this time by. Teabag a lap down, doesn't even go for it. KFC, he's still hitting it, that middle rut. really starting to work for some of these guys. Oh, Dariel's short. Ooh, big case on the leap right there. But yeah, that outside kind of seems like it's all but lost cause. No one's going out there anymore. It's all middle lines to try to hit the leap.
Yeah, it's a little sketchy. If we look at it next lap, you can see all the tiny little notches in it, and just clipping one of those barely at the top of the rut, it's going to kick your bike over the bars and take you down. So that middle rut is the safer line, especially with all these guys being on the 450. So it's a little easier, whereas the 250 pretty much have to hit the outside the entire time to make it. But yeah, with these guys being able to ride the 450s this whole time, it helps out a little bit to have those alternate lines coming up to the Rocco Sleep.
Yeah, and we'll see if any other lines, perhaps far inside and just choose to double it, becomes a viable option later in this race as it continues to wear down. All right, so those gaps have stabilized just a little bit. TJ kind of all by himself. Looks like Daryl, unless I'm missing it, has... Where is KFC? There's
he just went up that first triple.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
Just did it, Daryl.
I apologize. I thought I was looking at TJ. I was actually looking at KFC. And then there's Daryl, and then Ethan coming through the sweeper in the background. Steiner, Stargame, Neon, Brock W, and Vixnev round out our top 5. Any, or top 10, I should say. Any big surprising names up here for you?
Dario kind of won, being inside the top 5. Stargame being inside the top 10, but other than that, it's all guys that I would expect to be up here. You know, there's Brock W, who normally is done by the second motos, so it's good to see him finishing the race. I saw in chat he said he's going to be finishing the motos this time, but yeah, other than that, it's all pretty much about the same that I would see. Maybe just everyone kind of jumbled around, but yeah, other than that, it's all about pretty normal as top 10 goes for our races.
Yeah, and for those asking in chat, Oles, I think, just asked us, no Chase this moto, and yeah, for some reason, Chase, our Moto 1 winner, did not line up for Moto 2, and no idea why at this point in time. Of course, theorized maybe had to get off the game for the evening or something along those lines, but just strange with how well he rode in the first Moto. Certainly expected to see him back in Moto 2. Not the case. So it is Cam, TJ, KFC, Daryl, and Ethan now inside of our top 5, continuing to track those overall scores. TJ with the 3-2. Seems to be in a pretty good position to get it done. And speaking of trying to get it done, I don't think he's done yet with Cam as he makes a little mistake. But Cam starting to get into some lappers. It's only 3 seconds, though. And that's only just a few laps of TJ putting some burners down before we're back to a battle for the lead again.
Yeah, it's definitely close. And with Cam starting to catch some lappers, some of the higher-up lappers, with there only being about 17 riders left in this after a couple DNS. So a lot of the guys that he's going to start catching are going to be a lot of the quicker riders, and you know that's what TJ could benefit from, just him getting hung up a little bit on him, or just guys battling with each other, is, you know, moving closer to that top 10 in lappers.
Yes, indeed. So keep an eye on how much the lappers come into play, or just how much this track itself breaking down comes into play in the later stages of this race, closing up on 11 minutes and 2 laps still to go. Cam by 4 seconds over TJ to LaRocco's leap. And then a little bit of a gap back to KFC. Another gap back to Daryl. Everybody's pretty spread apart back to maybe Steiner and Stargame. I'm going to go back and see if we can find that battle as Neon goes through. There's Brock W and Steiner. Actually, Brock W and Steiner close together. And not too far behind Neon. So the penalties maybe changing that up a little bit. And now Steiner goes down, Stargame goes by. You mentioned his name as being a surprise inside of the top 10. He's almost knocking on the door for a bit of almost a top 5 peak here as Neon and Brock W are just ahead of him.
He's got a good shot at getting closer. I don't know if he has enough time. Obviously, anything can happen in these races, but the way Ethan's riding, it's going to be very close on if he could catch up to them. But yeah, with Neon and looks like Brock W actually went down right in front of him, so that's the spot that he's going to have a good chance at catching up to, but he made a mistake in these little rollers here, and we'll see if Steiner can close in on him right behind him.
Yep, everyone's just those little mistakes starting to come through as another one for Brock W. He goes down before the finish line jump, and Stargame able to get around him into 7th. So another change for position. Looks like Brock W going to try to get back alongside. Steiner shuts the door. Oh man, this turned into a good little fight here very quickly. We know Brock W has the speed, and sorry, Stargame, I think I said Steiner, but Stargame shuts the door. And we got some unfamiliar faces versus the faces we see every week battling it out. What a save by Brock W coming down the Alessi downhill. Not to go over the bars after he swapped out at the top. And speaking of Steiner, who I mentioned earlier there, he is on the 350, closing the gap down. So just as quickly as someone closes that gap in and we see a battle developing, the mistakes rear their ugly head and gaps open back up again. But I'm sure we're soon to see a battle in this mix of riders. Everybody is very close, and one mistake is all it's going to take, I think.
Yeah, and if you look out front, it looks like TJ has lost a lot of time. It's up to 8 seconds now between the two of them, so I don't know if he'll have any shot of challenging Cam unless Cam, like I said, gets stuck with lappers, ends up going down. But now Steiner looking down the inside of Brock W back here. Brock W able to hold on, primarily a 250 guy, says he hates the 450 in the game. So, you know, Steiner trying to get the edge over him. We'll see what he could do as they go through this middle. Ryan Steiner actually goes to the outside, and it looks like Stargame's down up ahead of him. Brock W can't get the Larocos, and it looks like Steiner's going to get over it cleanly. He's going to take the outside here, and he's going to move himself up into that P7 spot ahead of Brock W now.
That's crazy how much of a difference it is to be able to get the leap. As Steiner shows us, he comes from pretty far behind Brock W, lands next to him, and immediately takes the position away. Gets a twofer, as you mentioned, with Stargame going down, but Steiner on the 350, no less, still getting the leap here deep into the motos, up into 7th, Brock W 8th, Stargame 9th, and then a pretty big gap back to Vixnev, Nate, and Reedy. Looks like they're the last guys on the lead lap. Oh, Steiner exits stage left in turn number 1 over the berm, and yard sales coming back on. His flipping bike almost takes Stargame down, but as soon as Steiner makes 2 passes, down he goes again. So the crashes really hurting these guys this time around, and you kind of hate to see it. So we peek back up to TJ, gap back to KFC, and I think we're starting to see a little bit of the status quo come out here as Ethan got around Dariel. Kind of the guys we expect to do the damage late in the races are figuring the track out and moving forward, it seems.
Oh, yeah, I mean, TJ gaining a bunch of points in that first moto. I think he could afford to lose these 3 points here. He probably doesn't want to, with three rounds being left. Obviously, Cam did not like that we extended it to 2 rounds, obviously being the points leader, and this shows kind of why he didn't want it. Him, Brad, and maybe 1 or 2 others really didn't want to extend it, and everyone else did. So TJ benefiting from it, Cam not really, but if he continues to do what he does in this second moto, it's not going to be easy for anyone else to catch up and pass him for that points lead with 3 rounds to go here.
Yeah, and I like I mentioned, I'm curious to know, and I'm sure we'll talk to both of them post-race about how much they are thinking about that championship dynamic with it tightening up a little bit in the first moto. Cam was trying to do damage control and then fell apart a little bit. I'm sure we'll get a chance to hear from him after this race. Dariel hopping through the corner, trying to run down Ethan. The battle we've been watching there for just a minute. Let's go back a little further and see what else we got. As Gooey goes by a lap down, there's Neon, there's Brock W. Stargame back here. Let's go back and give a little bit of a shout out to my guys 10, 11, 12, Nate, Vixnev, and Reed. As I think Nate is going up to the leap right now. That's Krusty. Nate's somewhere back here. Deep, deep, deep back here. Okay, seriously though, where is he?
Looks like they went over the finish line.
Oh,
or coming to the whole shot line now.
How did I miss them? Are they just like all on top of each other right now? There's Nate. Okay. Nate, P10. Strong run for him. Vixnev just behind that. And then a not too distant 12th for Reed. The last guys on the lead lap as it runs right now, and a pretty big gap at that all the way up to where our leaders are, as they still have not even come over the finish line jump yet. So kind of interesting to see how that works. The 13th is a lap down, but then 12th is like, I mean, what, almost 45 seconds ahead of him or something along those lines?
Probably half the track almost.
Just shows that the speed those guys have, even though the last guys on the lead lap is still pretty impressive as we finally catch up to Cam coming through the whole shot area. Would you prefer that? Like, would you prefer to be a guy who's the last guy in the lead lap, but you have a huge gap to the leader? Or would it be nicer to be 15th, but you're nowhere close to being the last guy in the lead lap?
I would prefer not being, a lap down, because every time I raced, I was always on that kind of threshold from, being a lap down to not being a lap down, and I always preferred being not a lap down, so that, and it's always even better whenever the guy right behind you just gets put a lap down, so you don't got to worry about him for that final lap. So, I mean, more positions is probably what they want, and, if you don't really got to worry about people behind you, it's not too big of a deal.
Yeah, I think...
It looks like Reed might be waiting.
Oh, is he really?
He's not hitting everything at full speed, or he was just changing something, trying to clip something, because it looked like he put his controller down for a second.
I mean, that's a lot of time to still have on the clock to start waiting for someone to catch up. I mean, there he is. Yeah, he's about a straightaway ahead of Cam, but I would have maybe waited until, like, I don't know, 2 to go to start slowing down. Maybe not with 3.5 minutes still on the clock, but hey, to each their own. As he pulls off to the side of the track, the bike is running, so he's not out of fuel. And yeah, he's just letting him go. Or not? Oh, no, he is. Okay. Like, what's happening? All right, so Reedy now goes a lap down. That means P12 has been lapped. And if you're Cam, now, I mean, there is daylight from you to the next rider on the track. He has got the track almost to himself. I just zoomed all the way out and didn't even see a single bike ahead of him. Impressive. If you're Cam and you look ahead, you must just think, this is a dream. I got no traffic. I got a 10-second lead. Must be a good feeling.
Oh, yeah. Got the red plate. It's nothing better. But he's got about half the track to go before he catches up to anybody, and that would be Vixnev, who's in P11. So, I mean, having clean air is always good, but also for some people, it's not the best. I know a lot of people prefer pressure on them than, nobody around you or in sight, where you just relax, and unfortunately you can't get back to that pace. But Cam, this year we've seen he's not one of those guys. He's able to put the, lose time by just settling down, but he's able to always, pick the pace back up whenever he wants to and not have to worry too much about people, sneaking up on him from behind.
My guy Nil in chat, he was saying, we're talking about what position you want to be in, the nice big lead in the race, and he says he'd rather be on a yacht with some dominoes, and I can agree with that. That sounds like a fantastic combo if I've ever heard of it. But yeah, Cam, smooth sailing at the front of the field and not going for the leap anymore, so we're starting to see those ruts wear down a little bit too much. I wanted to peek back because I see Neon and Brock W, I think, about to be in a battle. Well, Ethan and Daryl are actually in a battle. Strike that. They are right on top of each other on the track. Even though I guess Daryl must have quite a bit more penalties. There's a 7-second difference in corrected time. But he's right on Ethan, unless Ethan maybe just crashed or something.
Let me double check. Yeah, Daryl has 7 seconds and Ethan has 2.
All right, there you go. So yeah, 5-second difference. Plus, obviously, still being ahead of him on the track as Daryl barrel rolls. He did a Daryl roll as he flies off the track and gets going a few more seconds behind Ethan. And then Teabag just waiting on the outside of the track. What's up with all these guys? We had 2 more guys run out of fuel in the first moto. Like, you would think if any of them watched the last couple of weeks, we've had far too many guys running out of fuel. Y'all got to check your setups.
I think it's everyone wanting that extra, little, milliseconds of speed. I never really cared. I always overfilled the bike heavily because I would rather, finish the race than run out of gas with the lap to go or so. So I never understood the barely filling your bike up. I always went, a couple clicks more just to be sure. But yeah, I never understood it. I don't know why a lot of people do it, but hey, it's anything for the 0.001 seconds of time, I guess, per lap.
Yeah, as the old saying goes, to finish first, you must first finish, and it's tough to do that when it sounds like you're driving an old jalopy on a dirty Mexican road up and down the hill going put, 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 bang, bang, as you run that thing out of fuel. So, yeah, maybe we should refill the bikes a little bit more, people. Stop running out of fuel back there. All right, let's see if we can find ourselves a battle. Time has expired. It's not looking too good for the battles, though. I think we're pretty well spread out. TJ nowhere near Cam anymore. KFC a distant third. Good rides for these guys, though. I mean, credit to them for much better second motos kind of all around. Ethan looking better in this one as well. Really, Daryl, kind of the only guy that took maybe a step back from where we saw him in Moto 1. Let's talk Neon, running in the 6th spot. 250 guy by trade, says he hasn't really quite felt the flow on the 450 yet, but I mean, I think he'll take a 6th place finish, right? This is going to be good on the resume.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think he has to ride a 450 for next season anyways. I think he won back-to-back 250 titles, or he won one last year or something and got to defend it this year. So no matter what, he's got to get comfy on that 450 unless he wants to step back down for outdoors. But yeah, either way, he's got to get it comfy. And Brock W, like I said, also a 250 guy. I don't know if he's riding the 450 from the way he talks about it. I doubt he is next year for Ariel. But yeah, so these guys are, you know, both 250 guys, you know, toughing it out on the 450, the bikes that they both say they don't really like, don't really flow with. But yeah, anything to, you know, race and have a good shot at money. And then you got Steiner, who just doesn't care and decides to run a 350 anyways. He doesn't care about the power deficit. He's going to run it, and, you know, he's props to him for keeping up with all these guys. But he went from a top 5 guy to, you know, battling for close to top 5 by dropping down to that 350. Yeah,
and so I know you play sim and are aware of, you know, the 250, 450 dynamic over there. Which would you say is harder to jump back and forth from, like 250 to 450 in sim or in bikes?
It's honestly, it's kind of hard because I haven't played much of the 450 in sim, and I haven't played much of the 250 in bikes. So, I mean, I think it's always going to be harder to jump from a bike that has a lot of power like the 450 and immediately dropping down to a 250 where you can, you know, some of these jumps you can't even clear. I know in Supercross it's a challenging thing. That's why a lot of guys ride the 450. That's why I started immediately on the 450. But in sim, the way the scaling goes and the way how the bikes are, 250s are normally good. It's just, you know, learning to deal with power instead of by, you know, not looping out or not sending everything. So I don't know. I think it's about even in both games. It's just, you know, how much skill you have and how many hours you have on the game.
Yep. No, it makes perfect sense, and good comparison between the two, especially for those viewers that maybe are akin to knowing how both of those games play individually. Hey, we have a bit of a battle brewing on the last lap for the race lead. Cam has warmed up his arm throughout the entire second half of this race to throw this thing away almost, as it's down to 1.8 seconds, and TJ's on his horse. Now, how does this thing end? Cam under pressure here late.
Oh, it's going to be sketchy. We'll see if he picks up the pace or if he's just, you know, trying to play it safe. He does have an extra second of cuts over TJ, so he's got to be careful not to let him close in. As TJ down he goes, so thought it was going to be Cam throwing it away, but it looks like TJ did here. Now Cam could just cruise these next couple corners, hit Larocco's, not have too much troubles in the rollers, and he's going to be able to hold on for this moto, but TJ, we'll see if he's too frustrated with himself on that or if he just got a little too excited seeing Cam right there in front of him and he's down once again. Yeah, well, he is going to win the overall, and I'm sure we'll get a chance to speak to him about it. That'll be one of the questions for sure. Level of frustration, not able to capitalize and get a moto win in the sandy soil here at RedBud here today, but Cam with a vengeance returns from a brutal first moto. P9 was even outside the top 10 at one point late in that first moto to avenge himself and keep those red plates nice and shiny heading into round 10. Cam picks up the Moto 2 win here at RedBud, but your winner on the day, it's going to take him a little bit longer to get there, but that is okay. 3-2 performance. Tyler J up on top here in Buchanan. So we take a look at Cam, taking a look at the finishers coming across the line. The flagman has his foot buried with the right foot deep inside the jump. His left foot is hovering.
And he is locked in on making sure the checkered flag waves for our finishers. It's like KFC ended up crossing the line in that 3 position. Next up to the line, Ethan, the AEO Yamaha machine, cruising it home. Is he on fumes? Sounded like that bike was still running.
Maybe.
Dariel, over the line P5. And we wait for the rest. Actually, a little frisky battle maybe coming to the line here. Neon, Stargame, Krusty, a lap down separating them. Brock W still back there. And Krusty going for a ride allows Brock W to get around Stargame. So Neon's going to hold position, but Brock W, a late pass, and then he gets into the back of Krusty, and it gives it right back to Stargame. The game giveth and the game taketh away as Brock W is given look over at Krusty over the line. Steiner, P9 on the 3 fatty, and Reed gets all the way back to 10th. Or, no, sorry, he was a lap down. I'm confused. So Nate's 10th. Reed is a lap down, almost got lapped by Nate. Okay, so 11th crossed the line right in front of 10th, but he was almost a lap down to 10th. So there you go. Let's see, we got Dizzle coming to the line with Gooey. They're actually in a battle for 12th. Dizzle got it. Gooey gets him on penalties. Classic Dizzle.
So let's see. So it's going to be TJ, obviously, for the overall victory. It looks like maybe Dariel's going to get a P2. And then KSC is going to get a P3.
Nice. All right. So a little bit of unfamiliar faces. We don't even need to talk to Cam, our points leader tonight. He doesn't get on the box.
Ooh, actually, it might be Cam. He might have beat KSC by 1 point.
Ooh, bummer deal. But
yeah, because Cam got 9th, so he was 4 points back from KSC after the first moto, and he gained 5 points on him here. So, yeah, I think it's going to be TJ. Cam is going to get 3rd, and then I think Daryl is going to get 2nd.
All right, so there you have it. Our podium finishers from tonight. We'll get a chance to speak with them in just a minute as we jump back in studio with you guys here. Kellen Brower in the booth alongside Talon calling the action. Round 9 of the AOMX FXR Championship in MX Bikes. RedBud done and dusted. Talon, how did this one race compared to what your expectations were?
Hold on, my computer's being weird. Trying to tag people, get everything all set up for interviews.
No problem.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's not an AOMX race with some technical difficulties. It's the AOMX way. I mean, Dizzle both have bad luck in races. The team has had bad luck in races, and they might as well continue it over to this championship. But yeah, it was a good race. Cam made it interesting towards the end, and the TJ had to throw it away. Sell equally as hard, so that happens. But TJ slowly clawing his way back into his championship, and try to make it a repeat. Go 2 years, go back to back on the championships here.
Yeah, definitely a little bit closer than it was for sure. I think 21 points now, the difference between TJ and Cam, with 3 races still to go, 6 motos still to run, and I gotta actually take a peek here on what's still on the wheel. It's like we have Mount Morris, Walton, 2024 MX Bikes of Nations, and 2025 MX Bikes of Nations still on the wheel. So any of those tracks could be coming anytime soon. Speaking of on the wheel, how about our guy Dizzle trying to get a 12th place right at the end? But he was a naughty little fella, had too many penalties, and Gooey gets him in the end. So Dizzle, much better second moto, eh?
Yeah, no, it was good. I was kind of just riding around by the end of that second moto, but no, the track was fun. Track's always fun to play, so he was good.
Well, glad to hear it. Glad that you at least had some fun in the second moto, because the first moto looked like a bit of a struggle bus. Turned it around, as I said.
Yeah, I had a good start in the second moto. Like I was kind of like 4th or 5th to the corner, and then a bike just came out of nowhere and killed me. So I kind of started both motos way back, but it's all good. Just like I said before, just kind of when I'm racing my own series, I'm just kind of here, just kind of hanging out.
Just kind of here, just kind of hanging out. I love to hear it. I'm gonna spin a couple laps on the track while we talk to our podium finishers tonight, because why not? Take a little first-person view of this track. Give the fans
We
at
won't
home
be
something to watch.
talking to Daryl because he doesn't speak English.
All right, no Daryl, no problem. I got that.
Dizzle, do you know what happened to Chase?
Yeah, he said he was only going to race one moto because he had to go somewhere for the second one.
Such a bummer. Rode so good the first moto.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard there was a pretty intense battle for the lead.
Yeah, the first moto for sure. It got really close. A couple points towards the end. Daryl almost snuck it back away from Chase, and then Chase passed him back and got away at the end. But yeah, it was frantic for a little bit.
DM these losers, see if they'll respond their DMs.
That's exactly what I was going to do right now.
We should still, Cam and TJ would still be on the box, right, to talk, potentially?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should still, I mean, if they want to do it. But. So Cam loses 5 points to TJ?
Yes, I believe so.
Gathering. Oh, there they are. All right, we'll go third to first this time. Bring Cam in.
All right, well, speaking of third to first, our Moto 2 winner actually joins us. Cam, first of which, let's go back to Moto 1, man. You were on a charge through the field. You got all the way up to 5th, and then what happened? Wheels come off a little bit or something? Because you kind of struggled and went back to 10th, ended up 9th.
Yeah, I don't know. I just started front tucking everywhere for some reason. Gonna put it down to the setup because in race 2 I was absolutely fine, but I don't know. It's very weird. I've been struggling a lot these past few weeks. I don't know why. In NSP and this, not sure why.
Okay, interesting. But the second moto, start probably helps a little bit there. But either way, you were able to kind of latch onto the lead group much quicker and then hawk down TJ for the lead. Just take us through kind of the approach that you had to that moto and why it seemed to go a little bit better.
I switched setups. I didn't crash on the start. And I don't know. I wouldn't say it was particularly that fast. I was just kind of consistent. But I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay. A little heart and mouth there at the end when you had a little late crash and then suddenly TJ was right on you again. Did you think that you still had it pretty well under control?
No, I thought it was going to get me because I felt... I did some settings changes before this round because of how the last 3 weeks have gone. And it kind of affected me in corners a bit. I kept front tucking, so I just thought that he was going to have me.
Well, you were able to hold him off and win the second moto. How much is the championship points situation kind of weighing on you? Like going back to that first moto, were you aware of TJ's positioning? Like, was it kind of a bit frantic because of that? You didn't want to lose too many points to him?
I mean, I said to him midway through the race, I said, I think you're going to have the points leader. Because I don't know. I climbed so far up, and then when the E-road got deep, to be fair to Chase, I wasn't Chase's setup, but he did specifically say that the setup's not really made for someone who tries going E-road as fast as me. But I just wanted to gamble it anyway and see what it was like. And it was so good up until deep E-road, and then I just couldn't stop front tucking.
Gotcha, yeah.
I mean, on the SPX setup, I was still front tucked a bit, so I think I need to do some settings changes again, but we'll see.
Makes sense. We were just talking about the track rotation that is still left. Obviously, we knocked RedBud off the list, but there's still 2024 and 2025 MXBON, Mount Morris, and Walton potentially left to be picked of the final 3 rounds. Is there one you're really hoping kind of doesn't get picked?
MX Bikes and Nations 24 because TJ is an absolute fucking sweater.
Okay. That's a fair point. Fair reason to not want it on the rotation, but I guess we'll have to wait and see what we get. Either way, in the end, 3rd overall in the night, much better end to the day than I assume you would have expected after the 9th in the first moto. But who would you like to thank for getting on the box?
Moto Academy. I guess SPX and CBS suspension. Tyler for talking to me at the end of that race and making me crash a few times. Callum, Steiner, Alec. I think that's it. I think that'll do.
All right. Well, congratulations, Cam. Red Plate staying with you heading into round 10 next week. And I guess we'll see you then.
Did not expect that.
All right, buddy. See ya. All right, that was Cam, our third place finisher, and now we're pleased and proud to be joined by the winner of RedBud here tonight. 3-2 scores. It's TJ up in the booth. First off, congratulations on the win. How does it feel to gain a little bit more points in the championship?
Pretty good, obviously. Gifted win. Can't complain about a gifted win. Yeah. Surprised I even got like a top 3, to be fair.
Yep. Fair enough, but 3-2 performance on the day, and we were kind of discussing back and forth in the booth, like whether it's going to really grind you to not win a moto, or if you're okay with that given the circumstances and gaining points. So which is it? Are you kind of upset you couldn't at least get one of the moto wins?
I mean, could be better winning, obviously, but I'll take the overall win. Can't complain about an overall win.
There you go. Feeling good about it. So the end of the second moto, I believe it was. Yeah, second moto. Suddenly Cam, couple mistakes towards the end. You got almost right on him, then a couple crashes yourself. Just take us through like mindset. What was going on? Did you think that there was an opportunity to get him late?
I was telling him to crash because I was barking and then I crashed and I was like, Cam, just crash. And then he crashed, so I said crash again, and he crashed again. And then I fumbled it. But I was botting out.
So you're playing a little bit of God mode in there. You're just telling him what to do, and he would do it.
Yep.
You kind of mentioned not like the biggest fan of this track. How about the way that the road shaped up? We had Cam kind of explain how much it affected his setup on his bike, especially in the first moto. How did you feel like you adapted to it? Because there's some nasty spots on the track.
I'm lucky from aerial, because in aerial I was in literally the same position. I was really slow, whole shot, and just rode smooth lines and won. And then kind of the same, but didn't win. Well, I won the overall anyway. So
Gotcha. Yeah,
a
that's
bit of
cool.
experience on that track helped a bit.
Always nice to have a little bit of experience.
Yeah, that's what I didn't have last week, because I never used like anything on that track before, so got lucky on this one.
Makes sense. We also asked Cam about this, but how aware are you or were you during the race of his positioning, how many points you were gaining? Because you gained 5 points in the championship at the end of the day, but at one point, as he said, it could have been a lot more. So were you kind of aware of that?
Playing up in the first race, so everyone was just lagging and freezing. And I was surprised I even got third in that race, to be fair.
Alrighty, yep.
If I won that first race, would have helped a lot.
Yeah. Well, in the end, like I said, you do gain points in the championship, and you leave here with the win. So who would you like to thank for a good night here at RedBud?
Obviously, PAX AOMX, MRC, SPX for the fire suspension to even get around that track, because that was rough. Vulcan, and yeah, everyone else, whoever who makes stuff for me. And Ichio. Yeah, Ichio gear.
Right on. Well,
That's it.
Again, congratulations on the win here tonight at RedBud, and we look forward to seeing you at round 10 next week.
Yep, see you next week.
All right, and that is TJ getting the job done here tonight at RedBud. So, again, shout out Daryl not joining us in the booth because he does not speak English. But either way, congratulations on a fantastic ride this evening to pick up the P2 overall. And at one point, almost looked like he could have been on for the win. 9 rounds down, 3 still to go. Final thoughts leaving RedBud, Talon. Maybe not here. Dizzle?
Yeah, maybe he's not here. I don't know.
I have my mic muted. Oof.
There you go.
That's rough. All right. But yeah, TJ has an 18-point, gap is how far he is behind Cam. Brad, with unfortunately that game crash in that second moto, he's now 51 points back in P3. Chase, not being able to race Moto 2, is 70 back in P4, and Watch not showing up again, probably because of work. Is 97 back in P5. And Steiner's 132 back in P6. He's got a ways to go to catch up to Watch for that P5.
Alrighty, that's awesome. I have my daughter walking in my room right now, so I think I need to run. But thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in tonight. Round number 9 of the 2025 AOMX FXR Championship in MX Bikes. Join us next week for round 10 of the series. We hope to see you guys then. If not, it's been a pleasure covering the action for you guys, and we'll catch you guys